All right, let's dive into one of the most incredible systems in your entire body. We're talking about the command and control center that keeps you alive, the one that's constantly automatically tweaking your heart rate and blood pressure for literally any situation you find yourself in. It is a high-stakes network, and it's running inside you right now.
I mean, really think about that for a second. You can be sitting calmly and then jump to your feet and you don't pass out. Or you see something that startles you and bam, your heart is pounding in a split second. Now, that is not magic. It's an absolutely breathtaking biological system at work. So, how does it do it? That's the big question we're going to unpack in this explainer.
So, here's our game plan for breaking this all down. First, we're going to meet the heart's two masters. Then, we'll look at the chemical messengers floating around in our blood. After that, we'll cruise down our vascular highways, visit the brain's control center, and finally, we'll see how it all comes together in this amazing blood pressure balancing act. Let's get into it. First up, the heart. Now, your heart has its own natural rhythm, sure, but it's not just off doing its own thing. Oh no! It is constantly getting orders to either speed up or slow down from two completely opposite nerve systems. And you can think of them, really simply, as the heart's dedicated accelerator and its brake. Okay, let's meet these two masters. Over on the left, we've got the brake. This is the parasympathetic system, and it's pretty much all handled by the legendary vagus nerve. A little fun fact here, they call it the wandering nerve because it goes everywhere. Your heart, your lungs, your gut, it's like a massive internal information highway. It releases a chemical called acetylcholine, and it hones in specifically on the heart's pacemakers. Now on the right, we've got the accelerator, the sympathetic system. It releases a different chemical, norepinephrine, and this is a huge deal. It plugs into the entire heart muscle. This difference in wiring is going to be absolutely key.
Now, to really understand how these two systems work their magic, we've got to get four key terms down. First one is the chronotropic effect. This is all about your heart rate. Simple as that. Just think of it like the tempo of a song. Is it getting faster or is it slowing down? That's a chronotropic change.
Next up, we have the dromotropic effect. Now this one describes the speed of the electrical signal zipping through the heart's wiring. You can think of it like your home internet. Is that signal moving at lightning speed, or is it kind of laggy and slow? Third on our list is the inotropic effect. This is all about raw power, the force of each heartbeat, each contraction. Is it a really strong, powerful squeeze, or is it a little on the weaker side?
And finally, we've got the bathmetropic effect. This one's a little different. It's about the excitability of the heart muscle cells themselves. Are they on a hair trigger, ready to fire at a moment's notice? Or are they a bit more chilled out and harder to stimulate?
Okay, let's put it all together. This chart just lays it out perfectly. The brake, our vagus nerve, has a negative effect on everything. It lowers the rate, it slows down that conduction velocity, it weakens the force of contraction, and it makes the muscle cells less excitable. Meanwhile, the accelerator, the sympathetic system, does the exact opposite. It cranks up the rate, boosts the signal speed, increases the force, and makes the whole system hyper-responsive. The big takeaway here is that your body has two totally separate inputs to fine-tune every single aspect of your heart's performance. It's incredible. So nerves are super fast, right? They're like instant messages, but the body has another system that's more like a company-wide email. Chemical messengers, or hormones, that circulate in the blood. Let's see how these add a whole other layer of control. So who are the main players that kick the heart into high gear? Well, the most famous are the catecholamines, like epinephrine. You probably know it as adrenaline. It does basically the same thing as those accelerator nerves. Then you have thyroid hormones, which also rev up the heart, partly by making the heart cells more sensitive to that adrenaline. And even things you might not expect, like the hormone glucagon or just having high levels of calcium in your blood, can make the heart contract more forcefully.
And of course, there's a flip side, things that slow the heart down. Acetylcholine from our brake nerve is an obvious one. But so are really stressful body states, like not having enough oxygen or the blood being too acidic. But the really interesting one here is high potassium. Why is that one so dangerous? Well, your heart cells need a perfect balance of potassium inside and outside to create an electrical charge to beat. If you get too much potassium on the outside, it basically flattens that charge and the heart muscle just can't contract properly. It leads to a weak, what they call a flaccid heart, and if it's bad enough, it can stop it altogether.
Okay, we've spent a lot of time on the pump, the heart. But what about all the pipes? The body has this massive network of blood vessels, and they also need to be tightly controlled to manage where blood goes and to keep blood pressure stable.
And right here is where things get really fascinating. Remember how the heart had both an accelerator and a brake? Well, get this. Most of your blood vessels only have the accelerator. They only have the sympathetic nerves telling them to squeeze. They don't have a dedicated brake nerve telling them to relax. So, how in the world does your body get them to open back up?
The answer is this absolutely brilliant concept called sympathetic tone. Just think of it as the system's default setting. The accelerator is always being pressed just a little bit, keeping all the vessels in a state of slight, constant constriction. So, to squeeze them tighter, the brain just pushes the accelerator a little harder, and to relax them, it doesn't need a brake, it just eases off the accelerator. It's a ridiculously efficient way to get two-way control from just a one-way signal.
So who's the one actually pressing this accelerator? We've talked about the nerves on the ground and the pipes they control, but now let's go to headquarters. Let's meet the central processor in the brain that is running this whole show.
Welcome to the vasomotor center, or VMC, located way down in your brainstem. It's really made of three key parts. You've got the pressor area. That's the source of that sympathetic tone we just talked about. It's always on, sending out those squeeze signals. Then you have the depressor area. Now this acts like a brake, but what it actually does is inhibit the pressor area. And finally, you have the sensory area, which you can think of as the VMC's inbox. It's constantly getting data from all over the body. What's the pressure, what are the oxygen levels, and so on.
And here's what's so cool. This isn't just some dumb, low-level reflex. Your higher brain, the cerebral cortex, where you think and feel and worry, can reach down and directly mess with the VMC. This is exactly why the mere thought of giving a public speech can make your heart pound and your blood pressure shoot up. Your emotions are literally plugged directly into your body's cardiovascular command center.
All right, time to put all the pieces together. We've got the heart with its accelerator and brake. We've got the vessels with just an accelerator, and we've got the brain's control center pulling the strings. Now let's see how they all work together to perform the ultimate balancing act, keeping your blood pressure right where it needs to be. So, here's your body's first line of defense against sudden changes in pressure, the baroreceptor reflex. Let's say you stand up too fast and your blood pressure spikes. Special stretch sensors in your big arteries feel this, and they fire off an urgent message: pressure is too high, straight to the VMC's inbox. The VMC immediately does two things at once. It tells the accelerator going to your blood vessels to ease up so they relax, and it slams on the brake nerve going to your heart, telling it to slow down. And the result? Your blood pressure is back to normal in just a couple of seconds. It is a perfect, lightning-fast feedback loop. That reflex is the perfect example of short-term neural control. It's all about speed. But when it comes to managing blood pressure over hours, days, or even longer, the body switches its strategy. It moves to long-term control, and the undisputed champion of long-term control is the kidneys. See, instead of just tweaking the tightness of the pipes, the kidneys control the amount of fluid in those pipes. By managing your total blood volume, they set your baseline pressure. It's a much slower process, but it is way more powerful in the long run. And that long-term control brings another cast of hormones onto the stage. These are the vasoconstrictors, the chemicals that squeeze vessels and raise blood pressure. Probably the most powerful one on this list is angiotensin II. It's a huge player in that kidney control system. You've also got hormones like ADH, and of course, our old friends adrenaline and noradrenaline, which also help crank up the pressure when needed. Naturally, there's an opposing team, the vasodilators, which help lower blood pressure. One of the coolest ones is ANP. It's actually released by the heart muscle itself when it gets stretched by high pressure. It's basically the heart telling the kidneys, hey, we're under too much pressure, get rid of some salt and water. Then you have incredibly powerful local factors like nitric oxide, which is a major player in relaxing blood vessels from one moment to the next. So, there you have it. The accelerator and brake nerves, a whole crew of chemical messengers, and the brain's central command, all working together in this constant, beautiful, dynamic balancing act. The fact that this entire, complex system just runs on autopilot every single second of your life without you ever having to think about it, what does that tell you about the incredible, mind-boggling power of our own biology?